I was clearing Dad's medical bills from the kitchen table when my older brother Kevin walked in without knocking. He had that look, the one he'd worn since we were kids when he was about to take something that wasn't his. "Family meeting," he announced, gesturing for me to sit. "Mom's coming over. We need to discuss the house." Mom arrived 10 minutes later looking uncomfortable. Kevin had obviously briefed her already. He pulled out a folder and spread papers across the table with the confidence of someone who thought he'd already won. "I found Dad's will," Kevin said, sliding a document toward me. "It's pretty clear. The house goes to me. You have 24 hours to pack your things and get out." I picked up the paper. It was typed on plain white paper and signed, undated, and stated simply that Kevin Chin inherits the family home at 1847 Oakwood Drive. No lawyer's letterhead. No witnesses. No notary seal. "This isn't a legal will," I said calmly. "Dad told me the house was mine," Kevin insisted. "He promised me years ago. This document just confirms it." "Kevin, this is a piece of paper you could have typed yourself yesterday. Where's the original? Who witnessed it? What lawyer drafted it?" "Dad didn't need lawyers for everything, Sarah. He kept things simple. This is his final wish and you need to respect it." Mom shifted uncomfortably. "Sarah, maybe you should just..." "Kevin's right that your father always said the house would go to him. He's the oldest son. It's traditional." "Traditional isn't legal," I said. "And Dad never said that to me. I'd lived in this house for the past 3 years, caring for Dad through his illness. Kevin had visited maybe 6 times total, always staying less than an hour. Mom had helped occasionally but lived 2 hours away. The daily work, the medications, the doctor appointments, the sleepless nights had all been mine. You got to live here rent-free for 3 years, Kevin said. Consider that your inheritance. The house itself is mine. I'm selling it and I've already contacted a realtor. You're interfering with my property transaction." "Your property transaction?" I almost laughed. "Kevin, you can't sell a house you don't own." "I own it. Dad left it to me." He tapped the fake will. "This proves it." "That proves nothing. Where's Dad's actual will? The one he had his estate attorney draft." Kevin's confident expression faltered slightly. "What estate attorney?" "Martin Ross at Ross & Associates. Dad updated his will 2 years ago. I drove him to the appointment myself." "You're lying," Kevin said, but his voice had lost its certainty. "I'm not. And I have Martin's business card, the appointment confirmation and Dad's copy of the real will. Properly witnessed, notarized and legally binding." Mom looked between us. "Sarah, if you knew about another will, why didn't you say something sooner?" "Because Dad died 8 days ago, Mom. I've been arranging his funeral, notifying relatives and handling his affairs. I was planning to schedule a proper will reading with Martin next week." Kevin jumped the gun with his fake document. Kevin stood abruptly. "This is ridiculous. I'm the oldest. I'm the son who'll carry on the family name. Dad wouldn't leave his house to his daughter when he had a son available. Dad left his house to the person who took care of him," I said quietly. "Me. The will is very specific. Would you like to wait until next week's official reading, or should I call Martin now?" "Call him," Kevin challenged. "Right now. Prove it." I pulled out my phone and dialed Martin Ross's office. His assistant answered. Even though it was Saturday, Martin had told me he'd be available for any urgent estate matters. "This is Sarah Chin. Is Martin available? I have an urgent matter regarding my father David Chen's estate." "One moment, Ms. Chin." Martin came on the line. "Sarah, I'm so sorry for your loss. How can I help?" I put the phone on speaker. "Martin, I'm here with my brother Kevin and my mother. Kevin has produced a document he claims is Dad's will leaving the house to him. I told him about Dad's actual will from 2 years ago. Can you confirm the contents?" "Of course. I have the file right here. David Chen's last will and testament, executed on March 15, 2 years ago. Witnessed by myself and my paralegal, notarized by Jane Morrison. The house at 1847 Oakwood Drive is left entirely to Sarah Chin in recognition of her care and dedication. Kevin Chin receives the contents of a savings account, approximately $45,000, and some personal effects. Your mother receives jewelry and specific sentimental items per her own request from when the will was drafted." The silence in the kitchen was deafening. "That can't be right," Kevin finally said. Dad wouldn't do that. Mr. Chin, Martin's voice was professional but firm. Your father was quite clear about his wishes. He specifically mentioned that Sarah had put her career and personal life on hold to care for him, and he wanted to ensure she was provided for. The will is ironclad. It's been filed with the county and is currently in probate. Would you like to schedule an appointment to discuss the estate? Yes, I said. Monday at 2 p.m. if possible. I'll have my assistant confirm. And Sarah, if anyone attempts to contest the will or interfere with the property, contact me immediately. I hung up. Kevin was staring at the fake will in his hands like he couldn't believe it had failed him. $45,000? He said. That's it? 3 years of inheritance and I get $45,000. You got $45,000 for visiting 6 times, I said. I got the house for 3 years of round-the-clock care. Seems fair to me. This is bullshit. Kevin slammed his hand on the table. I'm the son. I'm the one who's supposed to inherit the family property. You are a son, Mom said quietly. So is your sister a daughter. Your father made his choice based on who actually helped him. Kevin turned on her. You agree with this? You think it's fair that Sarah gets a house worth $800,000 and I get pocket change? I think your father knew what he was doing, Mom said. And I think you're showing exactly why he made the decision he did. Kevin grabbed his fake will and stormed toward the door. I'm contesting this. I'll find a lawyer. Dad wasn't in his right mind when he made that will. He was already sick. He was diagnosed 4 months after the will was executed, I said. Martin documented his mental competency at the time of signing. You'll lose any contest and you'll waste the money Dad left you on legal fees. We'll see about that. Kevin slammed the door on his way out. Mom and I sat in silence for a moment. I'm sorry, she finally said. I should have known Kevin was up to something when he called me this morning. That will he showed you, did he really think that would work? He thought I wouldn't know about the real one, I said. Or that I'd be intimidated enough to just leave. Your father talked to me when he updated his will, Mom said. He asked if I minded that you were getting the house. I told him you'd earned it 10 times over. Kevin visited for holidays. You visited every day. I didn't do it for inheritance, Mom. I know. That's exactly why your father left it to you. Monday's will reading at Martin Ross's office was tense. Kevin arrived with a lawyer he'd clearly hired over the weekend. A young associate who looked uncomfortable as Martin methodically presented the legally binding will, the documentation of Dad's mental competency, the witness statements and the notarization. As you can see, Martin concluded, this will is uncontestable. Mr. David Chin was of sound mind, the document was properly executed, and his wishes are crystal clear. Kevin's lawyer whispered something to him. Kevin's face went red. There has to be something, Kevin said. Undue influence. Sarah manipulated Dad when he was vulnerable. I visited your father regularly during the period before and after the will's execution, Martin said. He was emphatic about his reasoning and brought it up independently in multiple conversations. He specifically mentioned wanting to ensure Sarah was taken care of after she'd sacrificed so much. There's no evidence of manipulation, quite the opposite. What about the house value? Can we require Sarah to sell it and split the proceeds? No, Martin said firmly. The house is left to Sarah Chin free and clear. There's no provision for forced sale or division. Kevin, you're entitled to $45,000 from the savings account and some personal effects your father specified. That's your complete inheritance. Kevin stood up abruptly. This is a waste of time. Come on, he said to his lawyer. They left. The lawyer glanced back apologetically before following. Martin handed me a folder. Here are all the documents you'll need. The house is yours, Sarah. The title transfer will be processed through probate in approximately 30 days. In the meantime, you have full right to occupy and maintain the property. Thank you, Martin. For everything. For helping Dad with this and for being available this weekend. Your father was a good man who made a clear, thoughtful decision. I'm glad I could help ensure his wishes were honored. I drove home, to my home now, and found Kevin's truck in the driveway. He was on the porch with a locksmith. What are you doing? I asked, getting out of my car. Changing the locks, Kevin said. If you're not leaving voluntarily, I'll make you leave. I pulled out my phone. Martin, it's Sarah. Kevin is at the house with a locksmith attempting to change the locks. Martin's voice was sharp. Put Kevin on the phone. I held out my phone. He wants to talk to you. Kevin reluctantly took it. I couldn't hear Martin's words, but I watched Kevin's face go from defiant to pale. He said yes sir twice and I understand, once before handing the phone back to me. Sarah, Martin said, I've informed Kevin that any interference with your property rights is illegal and will result in immediate legal action including potential criminal charges for harassment and unlawful eviction attempts. I've also told him that if he doesn't leave the premises immediately, you're authorized to call the police. Thank you, Martin. Kevin was already walking to his truck. The locksmith looked confused. Sorry, I told the locksmith. This was a misunderstanding. I'm the homeowner and I didn't authorize any lock changes. No problem, ma'am. No charge since I didn't do any work. He packed up his tools and left. Kevin sat in his truck for a long moment, gripping the steering wheel. Finally, he rolled down his window. I needed this house, Sarah. I have debt. I'm behind on my rent. That $45,000 won't last 6 months. Then you should have visited Dad more than 6 times in 3 years, I said. You should have helped. You should have been here. I was busy with work. So was I. I quit my job to take care of him. I gave up promotions, relationships, my apartment. You gave up nothing and expected everything. He started the engine. This isn't over. Yes, it is. The will is valid, Kevin. You're not getting this house. Accept it and move on. He drove away without responding. 6 weeks later, the title transfer completed. 1847 Oakwood Drive was officially mine. Deed recorded, property taxes in my name, homeowner's insurance updated. The house Dad built, the house where I grew up, the house where I'd cared for him in his final years. Kevin made one more attempt through his lawyer. A formal letter claiming emotional distress from being deprived of his rightful inheritance. Martin responded with a cease and desist warning that any further frivolous legal action would result in a lawsuit for harassment. Kevin finally stopped. Mom visited regularly. We'd go through Dad's things together, sharing memories. She took the jewelry Dad had left her, including Grandma's wedding ring. She cried when she found the letter Dad had written explaining why he'd divided things the way he had. Kevin got money because he'll need it, Dad had written. But Sarah gets the house because she earned it with love. One is a gift. The other is gratitude. 3 months after Dad's death, I was sorting through the garage when I found a box of Dad's journals. In one from 2 years ago, dated right around when he'd updated his will, he'd written, Kevin came by today. Stayed 20 minutes. Asked if I'd thought about selling the house and splitting the money. Didn't ask how I was feeling or if I needed anything. Just wanted to know about the money. Sarah came by after work. Brought groceries and made dinner. Didn't mention money once. Just sat with me and talked about her day. This is why the house goes to her. She sees me, not my assets. I cried reading that. Not from sadness but from knowing Dad had seen everything clearly. He'd understood who was there for him and who was there for themselves. The fake will Kevin had tried to use turned out to be something he'd typed himself the morning after Dad died. He genuinely believed he could intimidate me into accepting it and leaving without question. He'd underestimated both my knowledge and Dad's planning. A year later, I still live in the house at 1847 Oakwood Drive. I've renovated Dad's room into a home office. The garden he loved is thriving. Mom has Sunday dinner with me every week. Kevin sent a Christmas card last year, the first contact in months. Inside he'd written, I'm sorry for how I acted. I was wrong. I hope someday we can rebuild our relationship. I haven't responded yet. Maybe someday. But trust, once broken by fake wills and locksmith threats, takes time to rebuild. The house is worth about $850,000 now. Kevin's $45,000 is long gone. He told Mom he used it to pay off credit cards and back rent. Sometimes I walk through these rooms and remember Dad sitting in his chair watching the news. I remember helping him to bed. I remember the good days and the hard days and the final days. This house isn't just an inheritance. It's a record of love given and received. Kevin wanted property. I got a home. Dad knew the difference. That's why the real will had my name on it. And no fake document could ever change that. Last month, Kevin showed up unannounced on a Saturday morning. No truck, no locksmith, no lawyer. Just him standing on the porch looking older and tired. "Can we talk?" he asked. I let him in. We sat at the kitchen table where he'd presented his fake will 18 months ago. "I've been in therapy," Kevin said. "Working on myself. My therapist helped me understand that I felt entitled to things I never earned. The house was just the biggest example." "Hey," I said, waiting. "I want to apologize. Really apologize. Not because I want something but because I was wrong. You cared for Dad. You earned this house through sacrifice I wasn't willing to make. I tried to steal it with a document I typed myself because I couldn't accept that Dad valued your actions over my birth order." It was the most honest thing Kevin had said in years. "I don't know if we can fix our relationship," I said. "But I appreciate you saying that. Can I ask one thing?" Kevin looked around the kitchen. "Can I visit sometimes? Not for the house. For the memories. This is where we grew up." I thought about Dad's journals. About his hope that we'd both find our way. About how he'd divided things with both punishment and love. Money for Kevin's needs, property for my dedication, but ultimately wanting us to be family. "Sunday dinners," I said. "Once a month. Mom. We can try rebuilding from there." Kevin nodded, tears in his eyes. "Thank you." He didn't stay long that day. But the next month he came for Sunday dinner. Then the month after that. "We're not close yet. Maybe we never will be. But we're trying." The house at 1847 Oakwood Drive stands as a reminder that inheritance isn't about what you're owed. It's about what you've earned. Kevin learned that the hard way with a fake will and a real eviction threat. Now he's learning something harder. That family isn't automatic, it's built. One Sunday dinner at a time. In Dad's house. My house. The house that love built.